You have a little bit of experience. Well, is it true that you allowed Leo Mahoney to play even though he had no talent?
Leo was one of the stars of the team. He was a vicious defenseman, knocked people down. He was really, really good.
Well, you're going to have to identify yourself for people, because some may not know you. Who are you?
I'm Russ White. I live in the same house I lived when I was coaching, and it was a great memory being at Bellefontaine.
And how long did you coach for?
I coached 2 seasons.
What was your best sport at Bellefontaine?
Hockey. Yep, enjoyed hockey. Yep. I think a lot of us did.
Who was the coach?
I think Russ White.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. And I think Father Corcoran came out too. Yep. Father Corcoran was out there.
Yeah, very good.
Can't remember. There was probably someone else too.
During your years on the hockey team, who was the best player?
Besides myself?
Other than
you. I think Jim Kepler.
Jim Kepler.
It's been a very long time.
Well, class of 73, obviously the best class to graduate, correct?
Yep, kind of a middle class. Yep, best class to graduate. I think we were the dirty dozen by the time we graduated. There weren't many more than 12 of us. And there were some great times. Great times.
Can you have one memory of the hikes up? Was it October Mountain? And did you do those hikes with us or no?
I did some of those hikes barefoot because I thought that was the cool thing to do. It was the stupid thing to do.
So we keep with a class of 73, Michael Reed. As a day student there, tell us something you thought about the wonderful gentleman who lived there.
Well, it was interesting because for me it was a kind of an unusual experience, because what would happen was, and I'm sure maybe Mr. Mahoney has the same feeling, everybody on vacations would suddenly disappear. Your friends would go away. And it was you were lonely as I couldn't wait for school to start again to have my friends come back. I'm very lucky, and I can't compare it to anybody else's experience because I don't know what theirs is like, but I know what mine was like, and it was great.
No, they liked me, and they were lonesome.
He doesn't keep any secrets.
And so when they were sick or not sick or nothing to do, they would come and talk to me. So I have a lot of these friends that I really love. I really do. The kids are just great.
It was a wonderful time in my life. It was a pivotal period for me, academically, socially. I met some friends that I've had for life here, and it's just been a wonderful experience for me.
It's an embarrassing question I can ask Kenny, who's up next.
Oh, ask Kenny about the time we were in the kitchen. It was late at night, and we were caught. I think it was either by some nun.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to have you take the mic and go interview Kenny. Here we go. Go ahead.
I was telling one of our fellow nuns, Andy O'Neill, about the time we were in the kitchen and we found a loaf of bread and we got caught. So you may want to expound on that a little bit.
Just a little bit. What happened was I was hungry and I loved bread, so I got caught in the kitchen with the loaf of bread in my pants. Mother called court me.
Did the bread really fill you out, so to speak?
No, it didn't, but Father Claw got to me.
Lots of memorable students, Andy. The ones that listened to me were probably the most significant.
And do you remember both their names?
I don't remember either one of their names. No, there's just a lot of guys here. This is a wonderful occasion. I don't know that I would single out any guy. I'm very grateful to Mike Schuler and Jack Caminoli and to Leo, even though we're making fun of them. But a lot of you guys did a really good thing. And my hope is that the alumni kind of stay connected, kind of keep doing some stuff. Because I think it means a lot to us as SCJs. The provincial wanted to be here, and we're glad Yvonne Shea, the vice provincial, is also here. But I'm just glad for that. I'm just glad for the presence and the fact that people still remember and care.
My roommate was Mike Perry, and all I can remember from that is the bottom of Mike Perry's feet. And that is because, first of all, Mike has feet probably size 15, and we had bunk beds. So whenever he would get up, he would sit up in his bed, and his feet would dangle down. And all I would see was the bottom of his feet. And it would actually block the sunlight coming through in the room. So that's my roommate, Mike Perry.
That's your roommate?
Yes, yeah.
Who was your roommate senior year, or did you have roommates then? Were you in a whole big dorm?
We had 3 separate dorms. I don't remember. We were 7 of us in my. I can't even. I know Jim Walters and Terry Langley were part of it. I remember the rest.
Now you went on to the Chicago program after Bellefontaine?
Novitiate, St. Marie, and then to Chicago. Then to Kilroe for 2 years. And then Chicago the last 2 years. Kilroe closed.
Now, did you ever have a desire to come back to Bellefontaine to teach at all, or no?
Well, by the time I was ready for that, they were closing. So that kind of took care of that. I would have liked it. I ended up teaching at Donaldson for 2 years. Yeah.
When did Donaldson close?
They closed the same year. They were closing them up.
No, I graduated in 1971 with a great bunch of guys, and my most memorable experiences was one that set the tone for actually the rest of my life. Was an experience that I had a prayerful moment by myself in the chapel, and that experience created the foundation for actually the rest of my life. It was inexpressible, and by its very nature, indescribable. And it was a visitation in the sense that, a spiritual gift that by its nature you can't describe or develop into a novel very easily, but it was the most significant.
I can say that the years of Bellefontaine were probably the most meaningful academic years I've had, in that you kind of had that wholesale experience of having a closeness with the community. I mean, the sense of the religious community, the sense of the community of your classmates, the people you lived with, you prayed with, you worked with, you studied with, you did sports with. The dynamic of that, and the fact that we can be here today is such a tribute to that community that we had.
All right, so we have Kenny Hunter, who has been dogging us now because he wants to clarify something that was said earlier.
No, although what I did was wrong, I will admit, but I do have fond memories of Bellefontaine. The greatest thing I could have ever done in my life.
It was a great time at Bellefontaine. We had a great band back then. We could have been big. But somehow our manager didn't take us to the next level. Thanks, Leo. Prism was the band. We could play. We had it all. True band of brothers. Long before there was the movie on HBO, it was us. And that's how come all of us are all here now. That's it.
You know, I have a memory, actually, with Leo driving and me in the front seat, and you and Keith Burris were going to some meeting. I think it was at Rockwood or something. and Leo and I jumped out of the car and opened the doors for you guys as you went in. Do you remember that? Have any recollection of that?
I have a very good recollection of that. That was our, let me see. That was the Black Students Association of Lenox. And we went over to the school, and they were having a dance. And it was supposed to be a meeting, and that's the way we presented it to the faculty. And it was nothing but a dance. We had a good time. It was wonderful. Big fun. We got no play because we were seminarians, but hey, it was a good time. We were around women.
Just a wonderful experience. It was something, I tell my wife to this day, that's why we're here. It's unforgettable.
Is there a priest or brother that stands out in your mind as someone that you haven't seen today that you'd love to say hello to?
A few that aren't here. So, I mean, that's Father Joe, Father Coyle, and Father Croc. But, there's a few. I knew Father Mike was around, and I'm glad I saw him today. But, yeah, as far as... Yeah. I'm speechless. I don't know.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Brother Joe, and I don't know his... was
Zerflu,
athletic instructor. And he was a very big influence in my life, and he really gave me some insights that till today, I'm thankful for. I wish I could get a chance to say thank you to him. So, definitely.
Very good. Anything else? Is there anyone that you wish you'd seen here today that hadn't come?
No, I miss most of all not being able to have Bob Forget here, obviously. It would have been, Bob would have loved all this. He loved Bellefontaine. He loved talking about the memories and all of our class. So, more than anything else, I wish Bob could have been with us. But it's good to be here with everybody that is here.
I had the good fortune to go to Rutgers when I got out of Bellefontaine. Great college experience, but in my early 50s, when I think back on the years that really, really shape who we are today, there's no other 4-year period in my life that even comes close to comparing to what we had here. Not even close. I haven't seen all of you guys in 35 years, and it's as if the clock went back 35 years. It's as if, you know, like we're getting ready for September for school to start again. It's really kind of weird.
I told my sister Kathy before I came, I said, this might be the first year that I'm going to feel like I'm celebrating Father's Day. Because I did parent some of these kids, and I hope I did as much good as I did, that I didn't corrupt too many of them. But you know, parents are sometimes good, sometimes bad, and it all works out.
Junior year, Bob Borstelman stole some wine from the wine cellar.
You know, I'll just note for the fact, I asked you if you ever stole anything, but now you're blabbing on everybody else.
Well, Bob had it. I went out with them. There were a bunch of us. We drank it. I don't remember how many of us did, 3 or 4. We figured no one's going to find out about this. Like the next day, we're called down to Tom Burns' office. This was after I had already been elected senior class president, school president, all of that. You know, being threatened with expulsion at the end of our junior year. And somehow they relented and we made it through, and I thank them for that. Leo Krog, God rest his soul, and Tom Burns.
The best time of my life. Many good friends that I got there. Lost touch with them. Very happy to see them again. They impacted me, each with their own little ways.
Was there a priest or brother that stood out in addition to classmates?
Many stories. Father Peter Stempian, who recruited me to go there. Father Mike Shoshanovich. I won't tell you why. The Black Russians are very good still. Father Hess, teaching me to be laid back and enjoy my life.
My time at the Lenox was a wonderful time. No, it seriously was. Thank you.
What sports did you play?
I played all the sports.
Who would you pick if you could from your class? Who would you think was one of the best athletes in your class?
I was.
Did you have a roommate senior year? Who was your roommate?
My roommate was Peter Gerzoulis. Come on over here, Peter. Peter was my roommate, and a darn good one. We had a poster on the wall of the Easy Rider. Which Fonda was that? That was not Henry. Peter. Wow.
Very nice.
And we also had a few other posters up on the wall, which I realize we shouldn't discuss right now. But it was a private room, and that was the big thing back in those days.
It's just great to see everybody and be with everybody, because Bellefontaine over the years is what really made me the person that I am today. And I don't think anybody who's here today could say anything other. Without it, we wouldn't be where we are and who we are today. And I'm honored to be here with everybody. Thank you.
Who was your roommate?
I had a great time at Bellefontaine. Too many highs, not so many lows.
What sports did you play?
Well, I faked hockey and I played a little soccer, but that's about it.
Is there a priest or brother that stands out in your mind from Bellefontaine as a positive influence? We know a few negatives, obviously, but how about a positive influence?
Oh, Father Burns was my favorite. Well, are you laughing?
Oui.
That's George Keenan laughing, Father Burns, if you ever hear this.
I showed up at Bellefontaine. I was 6'6". By December, I was 5'7". But I kept my basketball scholarship. And I really owe it all to John and Peter Jackson, who told me that I should come up there, that it was a great time. There were lots of fun, lots of parties, lots of girls. So when I got up and I found out that there was this thing called Proctor Study Hall, I was a little dismayed. But I stayed anyway and had a great time.
It was pretty interesting. I almost got kicked out my second year. My sophomore year, they wanted to kick me out. But
And why might that have been?
my mom keeps reminding me about that. Brother Peter would call every couple months and say, Bill's too worldly. He's too involved in the outside world. And,
You beat that rap.
I beat that rap.
And how did you hear about Bellefontaine?
I don't know. How did I hear about it? I have no idea. I don't remember.
So we're going to do a redo with Billy Vasilopoulos, who swore that I've already talked to him. But so Billy, what was your job as a senior at Bellefontaine?
I was bell ringer and guest master my senior year.
And what did that entail?
Taking care of St. Joseph's guest house at the end of the property and making sure the beds were ready for people that would be passing through to visit the priest. And ringing the bell for our classes to begin and end.
Life at Bellefontaine, life at Bellefontaine. Hockey with Charlie, sports, the New York guys against the Massachusetts and Boston guys, and that's pretty much it.
Who was your roommate senior year?
Brian Stolte, Ralph Plumridge, and Herman Flocka.
And how did you get stuck with them? How did you end up with roommates like that?
I think we were the end of the line.
What's your senior roommate? Did you have a roommate senior year?
Well, I was in the old dorms. So there was actually just one big room of we were probably seven seniors. And who was that? Jim Walters was there. Yvonne was over, I think, in the new wing as a monitor. I don't know who else was with us in our group in the old wing. However, I do remember very well the night of May the 29th. We were graduating the next day. Father Tom Corcoran came into the, as we were getting ready for bed, we were all brushing our teeth, washing our faces, taking showers, whatever. We were talking. It was our last night in the seminary. We thought, at last, we can talk all we want, because we were never allowed to talk once you're in the dorms. Well, I will never forget, Father Tom Corcoran came in and let us have it. And then he walked outside of the dorm after he had embarrassed us into silence, walked out of the dorm and just had a real good laugh about it. But I will never forget that night, my last night before I graduated.
I just said hello to one I spent about 25 minutes visiting with him, Father Bart Sorensen, who was a year ahead of me. We were close friends, both being from Pennsylvania. I had never seen him since he graduated in 1967. And it's the first time we've seen each other since then. It's been a great experience getting back together again.
I feel a proprietary sense when we were at the dedication. It was great to have Reggie from Canyon Ranch there, but he was the guest because Bellefontaine was our home. And I think it'll always be a piece of every single guy that ever went there. Wonderful to see everybody. Disappointed that certain people aren't here, but other people couldn't make it. If anybody's watching this that didn't make it to this reunion, I would strongly suggest that you try to make it to the next one. Take care.
How about a priest or a brother? Somebody who you can recall favorably.
Favorably. Ceramic class with Father Nabony.
Wow, very good. You're the first one to mention. Why don't you tell us about ceramics class?
No, I will skip that. Well, I thought I wanted to join the religious life when I was young, as most of us did. And I had a deal with my family. They said, you go 1 year in the city of Syracuse, and if you still think you want to be a priest, then you can go to Bellefontaine. So that's when I went as a sophomore. Yeah.
So you had actually heard about Bellefontaine before?
Oh, yeah. I think I remember a pamphlet coming in the mail, and Father Donnelly coming to our parish in Syracuse and visiting with myself and my family, and came to the house and gave us the sales pitch, and the rest is history.
Fontaine, and what was it like coming to Bellefontaine?
Well, the way I got there was I saw a little card at an elementary school, and I was looking for junk mail, just to get mail. That was it. Seriously. And I filled it out, and then Bob Hess showed up at the house. Came to see us. We talked about it, and I figured it was a great experience to actually get away from home, because I always had to follow behind my sister. So that's how I got out there, and my experience, I loved it, even though I think at the beginning of my freshman year I almost got thrown out. And it's kind of funny, the beginning and at the end.
Wonderful experience.
Back in the freshman year, things were a little stricter than most of the guys remember now. But after that, it was, kind of lessened up a little bit second year. But it was a great experience, a really great experience.
It was just a phenomenal experience to come up here at the time, very frightened, not ever being out of Philadelphia or being away from home like that. But in a very short period of time, the school really kind of grew on you. And the classmates that we had from the 4 years in advance, the 3 above, and then the 4 years underneath, you really got connected to very closely and very quickly. But the person that I think everyone connected with was Miss Mahoney. She was that mainstay that everyone just fell in love with. And I remember the whole Mahoney family. We really got very close with them as well.
It was a great time. I wouldn't change anything that I remember. I only remember the good things, forgot all about the bad. So it was a great 4 years.
How about some of the priests that stick out in your mind when you were there, for good or for ill?
Joe Croft, Paul Casper, Frank Hudson, Bob McGuire is top notch. David Lamphere, Tom Corcoran, not so top.
Well, my time was the same as Bart's, so I would be pretty much in line with his list. The two on that list who stood out the most were, to me, Father Hudson and Father Bruder. And Hudson, because I just thought he was an extraordinary teacher. We had Father Hudson for all 3 years of our math, and Father Bruder was our dean. He was a strong individual, very powerful presence. Sometimes came across a bit too strongly, but still in all, made a significant impression on all of us.
Is there anyone from your class that you would have liked to have seen that didn't make it here?
Well, the good part about it, we found out there's probably some person that we thought was dead now is alive.
It's a resurrection again.
Yeah, yeah. Now we might be two, and another one we thought was dead might be alive too. So that was the good news about it. But there's a couple. There's Derek Gidgets. He was. I wished he had made it up. There was another one, Ed McLaughlin from our class, that graduated with us. We were hoping we lost track of him about a week ago. He couldn't make it. But that was good.
In the morning, they'd wake us up, we all get showered and everything, head up to the monastery, we'd attend Mass, walk through the downstairs monastery hallway to the dining room. An old Polish woman named Sophie would cook us breakfast, and she always had wet, runny eggs, and for some reason to this day, I still crave them. And then we would come back, get our stuff, get on the bus, and Brother Arthur would drive us over to the school. He would then pick us up from school and drive us back. And I found out today he would have a work list that he had scheduled. Okay, you're going to do this, this, this. And he would listen to the guys talk on the bus, and he would judge their demeanor or their level of energy and say, okay, well, that guy really needs to chop some wood. So we would do that, and then we'd have evening vespers, and then back over here, and then they'd lock up the TV room. We'd have study hall, and then it was lights out, time for bed.
We were both Marians. We were here 70. I was only here for 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. But I've been coming up here ever since I was here in 1971. I come up here at least every year, twice a year, see some of the guys, and bring my son up here. We go hiking and hang out. So I have a lot of great memories of this place, and it's just been really a great experience for me and my formation here. This guy's come and gone, mostly gone. You have something to say?
I graduated in 72. Actually got ordained for the Marian community and left ministry in 96. And right now selling insurance.
And what about this perceived superiority that your Marians had over all the Sacred Heart guys?
Well, it was all true.
They had it much easier than the guys that went to the school in the 60s. When we arrived, we were told at the orientation, you step past the gates, your next step is going to be on the bus out of here. You're out.
Couldn't go to town, huh?
Couldn't go to town. I found out from my brother Raymond last night that in the 70s, the students were allowed to go up into Lenox there, walk around. They were given a spending account. They could go spend money in town and go up to Pittsfield. And
You weren't even allowed to have money, huh?
we had a little account, and we were allowed 40 cents a week for candy from the store. So a lot of us lost a lot of weight when we went up there. And the intramural sports, we didn't have any of those. It was just sports among the freshmen played to freshmen, sophomore played to sophomores, and the juniors against the seniors there. So times had really changed over a few years from when I left in January of '67 to when my brothers got there in the 70s there. So times do change.
Ray, how about you? Did you have a favorite or a priest or brother that really stands out in your mind?
I remember Father Jim Walters, and he just was very enthusiastic and was also a spiritual director for me. I really enjoyed his classes. And now that we know the whole story, that he just learned Spanish, in 3 months, But no, it was great. Great learning experience being here at Bellefontaine.
And Dale, how about you? Teacher that sticks out in your mind or a favorite?
Jim Walters was, I think, really special. I really like Ken Van Fawcett. Do you remember him?
Oh, sure.
Really enjoyed him because he, having come from the service, he had a whole different background than some of the others did. He had a very different viewpoint on life, and he was really a big help for me. He was a good man. I don't know what happened to him.
Paul, any memories of a teacher that you've
Well, I remember Brother Chuck. He was a very heart-filled guy. Yeah, Brother Chuck. Yeah. And Brother Joe. I mean, he was a great guy. Remember Brother Joe?
Oh,
yeah.
Now, I'm surprised I haven't heard any of you guys mention Father Burchell. You guys had Burchell there, right? You remember Burchell?
I really enjoyed Father Burchell. He taught theology, and he was also humanities, and really enjoyed his conversations and his insights into just life in general.
Just for me, a couple of priests and brothers that stick out is I do remember Brother Ken Van Fossen, Father Jim Walters, Father Markunis, all terrific influences on my life, Father Bershnick, and Father Craw. I remember Father Craw was one of the most entertaining teachers I ever had through high school and college, but it's had a wonderful impact on my life, and Vivat Cor Jesu per Cor Mariae.
There was even one case where I lost the keys, and I think it was like 3 or 4 days, and they wouldn't give me replacement keys, and I was ready to be like tarred and feathered until I could find those keys, because the SCJ fathers would not give me replacement keys. So I was a pretty wanted guy at that time. People were pretty much jonesing for great knee highs and hamburgers. What was those burgers? Stewart sandwiches. The keys, actually, I found them inside a textbook that was up in one of my bookshelves. I pulled the book out, the keys fell out. I'm redeemed.
What about some priests? Who sticks out in your mind as somebody that you found as a good teacher that you really remember?
Father Mac.
What did he teach?
Religion. We were his first class. He came there about 2 weeks before we did.
So you taught him religion, actually?
Yeah, kind of. Taught him how to play basketball, too. No, I think it's all been said. I wouldn't change anything I did there for anything in the world.